Hello, I'm walking after our Klima Forum panel presentation with one of my co-presenters, Jim Klienschmidt, and we're actually having a conversation a little bit about food, which was the stuff that Jim talked about. And food, I think, really it rivals, if not has replaced, recycling as an issue that completely animates people, normal people, to both act and learn more about these kinds of issues. Jim, would you agree with that?
I would absolutely agree with that.
So now you were talking a little bit on your panel presentation about the importance of food and you know some of this both to the climate issue and also to some of the policy changes. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, I think one of the things we see is our food systems become a linear approach. We put inputs in, synthetic inputs in, on the fertilizer side to grow food, and then we throw it away at the end of our life, and we're throwing more and more of it away, of course. And so I think to bring people back to the recognition that this isn't only an issue of waste, it's an issue of climate, because the synthetic fertilizer on the front end and the waste at the end are two of our big emission sources. But what we're seeing is exactly what you say, that this animates people. And I think it animates people because the solution of local, whole foods, seasonal foods, production under sustainable methods also results in issues that they care about. Better taste, better health, and better quality of life in general. And so I think this is where we look at food as a real driver, where it unites people across classes and across cultures.
And I also thought it was interesting the way you brought up that it also can unite people across the urban-rural divide as well. Tell me a little bit more about the food systems that operate.
Well, and that's it. We've really separated out our systems, and I actually didn't even talk about the fact that even in our rural communities, we mostly import our food from other parts of the world at this point. But what we see is that the nutrient loss on the farm side isn't being made up for anymore on the urban side. And so that's where we get these emission sources from. But for us,
now, what does that mean? That it's not being made. That it's not being made up for on the urban side.
It's not going back to the soil.
I
really.
see.
And
interesting.
Despite Will Rogers' statement that we're not making any more land, this is how we make more land: is by taking that organic matter and put it back into the soil.
Right.
So instead, farmers are returning to synthetic fertilizers, and urban people are throwing their garbage in the ground. But it's not going into the soil in a way that can be used. It's going in with plastics and paper and everything else, and cause of waste and problems from emissions, from other kinds of health issues, all of that.
So the big unclosed loop for you in many ways is composting itself, right?
That's right. Composting, anaerobic digestion, but how do we take the nutrients that are in that wasted food and return it to the soil?
Really interesting stuff. Thanks a lot, Jim.
Thank you.